Welcome to Musings and Modalities. I'm your host, Tristen Stawicki. Think of me as your pragmatic shaman bestie. Join in with other high-vibe, lovely people as I unravel spiritual ideas to help create change and growth in your life. I cover a variety of spiritual topics, sharing knowledge to meet you wherever you are in your journey. As a shaman, astrologer, and human design reader, I help you understand how to make informed decisions and incorporate different modalities using discernment and your own intuition. Today, you will gain powerful shamanic healing tools you can use to incorporate spiritual practices in non-traditional ways. Whether you're just beginning or need a knowledgeable best friend with the next phase of your journey, I'm here to help. Stay tuned. Musings and Modalities starts now. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Musings and Modalities. I'm Tristen Stawicki, your pragmatic shaman bestie, and for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to be covering quite a few topics today. To start, I'll deep dive into everything you need to know before your first energy healing session. I'll discuss the exact steps I take before receiving energy work and how I integrate the downloads, energetic cleansing, and upgrades that I receive. Then I'll cover everything you've ever wanted to ask a shaman in a Q&A style. I have a list of questions from friends, strangers, clients that I'll go through, and these questions range from, does energy work really work over video calls, to why do home clearings matter? So to begin, you've taken kind of the big, scary step to book time with a healer or an energy practitioner. So what's next, right? As a client, I do try to abstain from alcohol, CBD, and the like for a minimum of 24 to 48 hours. There's a few reasons for this recommendation. In my own body, I find that if I'm not clear-minded, it makes receiving messages and energy work that much more challenging. I also find the effects of those various things really make me feel diminished and muted in the energy work. So energy work still works in that capacity. You, of course, have the freedom to do whatever you like, but it's just kind of like there's an energetic mesh that the energy practitioner has to work through. So it's just a little bit more of an energetic barrier, which isn't ideal, when you're trying to receive really healing and replenishing energy work. So I kind of think of it as if you've had a few drinks the night before a morning workout. And you should be able to get through the workout, right? But man, is it miserable. The recovery from the workout takes longer, and the experience of exercising is super unpleasant when you're not feeling your best. Now, there are folks that intentionally take CBD and the like before sessions as they claim that it opens up their channel, right? And that may be right for them. I'm not going to totally disagree with that statement, but I've found when I've had clients kind of make that choice to take something before a session, any insights or downloads they get in a session for themselves is really surface level. They actually miss a lot of the subtleties in a session. They're pretty scattered and unable to focus. It makes any grounding exercises that much more challenging to really find their connection to the earth. And so ultimately, this is kind of a hindrance, more of a help to their healing journey. And really, I find that this stems from an insecurity in their gifts, right? It's really just a limiting belief that we need to heal and we need to help them work through. That really isn't true. To further prepare for a session, I use this time to write down a few intentions of what I'd like to cover and ask about. So this could cover a few topics with work, health, relationships, really anything can be discussed in a session. I really want value for the time and money spent on a session, so I want to get really clear with a practitioner on what my goals are. I do try to leave space for messages or topics that come through, like personally when I'm meeting with someone and I'm receiving energy work from them, I always say, there's room for magic if there's anything that comes through or anything my guides want me to focus on. That's always kind of the top priority for me. So how I craft an intention is by starting with the experience I'm currently having and my ideas on why that's happening. So I'm really careful not to attach any expectation on the solution, and I really want to be flexible enough to hear what the healer's take is. So for example, I took about a 15-year break from dance. I was someone that at the height of it, I was going 5 days a week in high school, taking every single class under the sun from ballet, point, hip hop, jazz, contemporary, pretty much everything that the studio offered. And so when I came back to dance after that really long break, I found in the first few months of taking ballet that my left toe wouldn't fully straighten, right? And was pretty unhappy during class. And it was odd because I didn't have an injury in that toe. I had had it looked at by like a physical therapy clinic that works with professional dancers and specializes in dancers' health. I followed their recommended exercises for a few months and nothing really helped. So then I worked with my shaman, and they were able to tune into the energy challenges within the toe, right? And the lack of connection with my feet to the rest of my body. She shared the messages kind of from my toe and was ultimately able to completely heal the issue. And so my intention that I set for the session was to check in on that toe. I openly kind of shared the steps I had taken, outside of energy work um, to try to correct this issue and my history of coming back to dance. And all of this information really helped the shaman drill down into the underlying issue and correct it within like less than 20 minutes. I mean, it was so fast. It was such a relief. And then we were able to move on to other topics and other intentions, which was really, really lovely. As both a client and a healer, I never know how long an intention will take to reach a point of completion in a session. And so this can vary from like a shorter time frame of 20 to 30 minutes, which I would say, most issues take a little bit longer, especially if it's kind of the first time it's being discussed. But there are issues that could take a few sessions to work through. So this is why I recommend coming with a few intentions, and you pretty much have like a running list, right? You may want to prioritize that list so that the issue or challenge you really want to cover is taken care of first, especially if it's a health issue or, if it's a job challenge and it's starting to feel really overwhelming in other aspects of your life. It's really great to bring up kind of at the beginning of a session. There are a few reasons that some intentions can take longer than one session. And I wanted to break down kind of why that is. So if the overall intention is to feel better in my body, right? It's such a beautiful but broad intention. There's an emotional component that could include struggles with body image or bullying or unkind words from family members that would need to be discussed and worked through. So that's one element of it. There's also the connection to the body, and there could be a misalignment between your spirit and your body. And this is something I actually experienced in my own healing journey. So it's definitely something that I think is more common than we realize. There could also be past lives that are keeping you kind of imprisoned in these feelings of disconnect. There are physical ailments, cords, energetic imprints from past or current medications as well. So really there's quite a lot of baggage to work through that could be karmic from this lifetime or genetic from past lifetimes. And there are also limits on how much energy work your body can handle in a day, which is super common and normal, especially if this is kind of your first few times receiving energy work. I've mentioned previously in other podcasts that I intentionally try to have the greatest impact possible using the least amount of energy. So I'm not overloading a client's body in a session just to show off or prove that this work is effective, right? That's truly the worst thing you could do. Small shifts and alignments are so impactful in this work. Your physical body really needs time to get acclimated to the energetic changes it's undergone. It needs time to release old programming, to release any auto responses, right, that it has, and to build new pathways and to hold onto higher vibrational energies. So you're being a clear channel, right? You have your intentions set and the session is coming up. What else do I recommend? So I really want to make sure that you have privacy and a quiet space. This is really, really key. I recommend not having any distractions, don't have work up in a separate tab. I wouldn't have any other folks in the same room. I would really treat this the same way you would a remote therapy session, right? And the reason for this is that the topics that you cover with healers can get really deep and very vulnerable quickly. Of course, that is always up to your own personal comfort level, but I always like to leave space for that and make sure that that's clear up front. I really like to have water, a snack, journal, a pen, tissues, and some cozy stuff, right? We want a blanket, maybe flowers, a candle, anything that's really going to make you feel comfortable, because I'm sure there is some anxiety and nerves as you're going into this. Phones should be on Do Not Disturb. Other tabs on your computer, especially if it's a video kind of conferencing that you're using, should be minimized. You cannot multitask in a healing session. It's just not going to be nearly as effective as a client. It's just not going to work. So you really want to give this session 100% of your attention. If this is your first healing session, definitely share that with the energy practitioner, right? Because they might kind of explain even more thoroughly what they're doing and check on you more frequently than someone that's had a number of healing sessions or has booked with them previously. If you have had other sessions, really openly share what those energy practitioners did and like what you did and didn't like about those sessions. You know, if there's something that was really impactful for you, I love to hear things like that. That's only more helpful for me as we want to make sure that you have the best experience possible, right? Having that open dialogue is so important as you're trusting someone with your energy. So, what does a session look like? This is probably the number one question I get all the time. So, if it's your first time booking with a specific practitioner, there will likely be a little bit of chit chat at the beginning, right? They should discuss their session process and answer any questions you may have before starting the session. And here you can share your intentions or goals for the session and for working with them overall. They'll likely do a type of grounding technique or meditation, and that really helps get your body, mind, and spirit aligned before a session. Especially if people are rushing to an appointment, you want to be in a receptive state. And so we have to shift from, like work mode or, if you're a parent mode, all of the other responsibilities you have, and put you into like an individualized space that's super, super receptive to the energy work. That way you'll get messages, and just be able to receive everything that you need to in this session. Either before or after grounding, they may set up protections for the container, right? And the container is just the video call, or if you're meeting them in person, kind of the room that you're in with them. This could be done by opening sacred space if they're a shaman. Reiki practitioners typically use symbols in their room or in your space after getting permission, of course. Other practitioners may call on guides to protect the space. And the energy healer may do this before a session as well and may not take time during the session for it. Just kind of depends. From there, the energy practitioner might do a clearing. They may cut cords, which is really just like energetic ties that are holding you back, right? And that is to get rid of any baggage that may prevent kind of working on the intentions that you have. So it's similar to picking up a room before deep cleaning it or reorganizing it. And then your intentions are individually worked on. There may be some intentions that can be grouped together, which we love, right? We love when we can group a couple of intentions together and knock them out and really feel successful in a session. Others might need really deep work individually. And if you've had therapy before, this is a very similar experience to therapy, honestly. At each of the steps that I've listed, the practitioner should let you know what they're doing and get your permission. As I've said before, but I really want to continue to drive home this message, consent is key. And if a practitioner doesn't ask for your consent as they're doing this work, I'd be really hesitant to work with them again. Honoring your boundaries and feeling safe and comfortable during a session is the utmost important piece. They should also check on your physical and emotional state throughout the session, especially if there are some deep and vulnerable topics being mentioned. Though healers are intuitive, don't assume they know if you're uncomfortable or are feeling challenging sensations. So always, always speak up and share what you're feeling, especially if it's overwhelming. Uncomfortable topics and woundings likely come up, especially if you're working with a healer in a long-term capacity. Even with hard topics, you should feel safe being vulnerable with them. If not, perhaps find someone else to work with, right? You should be just as choosy with your energy healer as you are your doctors and therapists. So a session may focus on just one topic or jump around a little bit. The energy worker may use tools like pendulums, tarot cards, or runes in a session. And as the session wraps up, a few things should happen. The healer should check in on you and make sure you feel comfortable with ending the session, that you feel kind of complete with the session for today. They should offer a plan or recommendations for any next steps or for the next session. And then energetically, you're going to feel pretty tired, right? Most sessions are an hour, some are 2, some are 3 hours, depending on kind of the session length, how the practitioner works. That's a really long time to be in front of a computer or, in another space. If there are really big releases, meaning like really big energetic shifts or a lot of things covered in a session, you really want to make space for that in the rest of your day, right? There are also, if you're not really tired, I've also had the experience of being like really elated, like you're almost high. If big weights have lifted off you and you're just like, you have so much energy that you almost can't ground back into the earth. So, a few ways I like to help my body get through the rest of the day is I really love to take a nap after energy work and take it really easy. I really recommend babying yourself. I like to eat grounding or sweet food like chocolate or a heavy meal to help my body recover. If I have more of that elation energy, I like to go outside, go for a walk, exercise, kind of try to burn that off out of my body pretty quickly, just because I want to move into the recovery stage pretty fast. You may also find you want fruit or veggies, so just listen to what your body needs. Be really, really open to whatever it needs to recover and needs to kind of move through this energy shifts. I really want to make it clear that though it's not easy, sometimes it's not fun, it really is necessary for your happiness in life to do this type of energy work, and making space for it in your day, week, month, whatever capacity you have is incredibly important. So I say that as I kind of shift to the next topic, which is how often should I see a healer? And that really depends on what your goals are. So, in general, most people benefit from a routine of like once every 2 weeks, right? It's kind of like a general check in. You can still have big shifts during that time. If you have really big goals, or if you're in a time of transition in your life and you need more ongoing support, every week is great, right? I wouldn't recommend more than once a week just because you want to give your body time. I know you have other responsibilities. And once a week with like commitment and dedication, you can see so many shifts and changes that your life is almost unrecognizable in the best way, just a few months later. Meeting frequently, especially over 2 or 3 months, you're able to really cover a lot, right? And whether that's every week or every 2 weeks, this really sets you up for intense manifestation periods and quantum leaping. So this is a kind of commitment to healing work that shows the universe you're ready for that next level, that dream job, that dream life, If you aren't able to if you don't have the time or anything like that, going once a month is absolutely fine, right? So once a month, showing up for yourself and just being really clear on your intentions and kind of doing homework in between sessions, you can still have profound shifts too. So I don't want it to feel like you have to completely rearrange your whole schedule in life to get where you want to go. Does energy work over video calls? It really does, right? Phone calls as well. I was super skeptical about this. As I've mentioned previously in other podcasts, I did EMDR therapy for 4 years, and I was in the therapist's office once a week, right? So that was kind of my frame of reference. And I've had a lot of healing sessions from different practitioners and teachers all across the globe, from California to Australia. I've done in person, I've done on video, I've done phone calls. I'm, the reverse, right? For my clients, I've run the gambit there too. And I've found for myself and my clients, energetic shifts still happen. And I've really found that video calls are almost my preferred method, especially as a healer. as it allows me to stay in sacred witness and hold the container more easily. It also allows me to help folks all over the world, which I really love, because it shouldn't be location bound where you're able to find magic and help. Now, I don't want to diminish that there is magic in person. There absolutely is. But the methods or other types of methods don't detract from the power of energy healing. In fact, my spiritual teacher and I use video for our check ins, my advanced shaman studies and trainings, and for her energy work on me. And it's kind of funny, but we frequently kill the video conferencing software we use. And we've had to use phone calls the past few times. This has been ongoing for like, I don't know, 8 weeks now or something. So energetically, it can't handle our awesomeness, which is very funny, but also goes to show like the energy and power is still there. All right, so I wanted to move into a few common questions that bounce around a little bit and touch on a few different topics. So, just like our bodies, our homes are energetic beings, and they deal with visitors and new stuff coming into the house, and they can hold the energy of fights of earthbound spirits. There could be energy from the previous owners, or the home and land energetically may not get along, right? There's also cases where the energy from your neighbors may seep in, especially in apartments. I see this quite a bit. And homes in all forms, from studio apartments to celebrity-sized mansions, hold energy. And all of that energy is evident and prominent. So when people visit your space, you want them to feel comfortable and welcome. You want to sleep well and be content, happy, and relaxed. And much like we clean our spaces, we need energetic deep cleanings. So these cleanings can be entity removal, negative energy removal, transforming stagnant energy to a supportive energy. And all of those are necessary to keep a space in optimal condition to support you and your family. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about this, right? And about this process with home clearings. So using shamanic tools, I remove stuck energy. I remove any challenging energy to a restored kind of light feeling. I also gently support spirits to cross over to the Rainbow Bridge. If you've recently moved into a new space, I've done a number of these. I remove the energy of previous tenants and start building up like your supportive energy for you and your family. I've also seen where people are selling the home. I've gone in and kind of removed the energetic attachments and transformed the space to attract a buyer. Because people feel it, right? When you step into a home or space, you just feel it. And then if you're looking for like a buyer and trying to sell your home, you want them to envision themselves in that space. And energy work is a beautiful way to do that. If you've lived in a space for a few years, and the energy needs some support and love, and energy clearing is super effective for this too. Now, this question comes up quite a bit about objects, right? Like I love antique shops and vintage finds, and objects can actually have an entity or energy attached to them. So in my home clearings, I actually work to remove any negative energy from objects as well, just because that's so integral to the space, right? So all of this is done remotely, and I've found it actually to be more effective and faster than an in-person. What I love about remote work for this too is that you don't have to leave your home while I do any clearing. So because this type of work is like a minimum of 5 hours, typically around 7 hours of my time, and is very in-depth and personalized, the fact that you don't have to leave your space, you don't have to disrupt your routine is pretty huge. With home clearings, and I think most energy practitioners do this as well, but I really work to clean the energy of the animals and the people in the space. So all folks over the age of 12 plus would need to consent to it, with children 11 and under can have their parents provide that consent. But ethically, I need the okay from all of the inhabitants, so I don't do energy work without their consent, right? But all of that is done because, wherever you go, there you are. And so your energy actually needs to be cleansed as part of the process too. Otherwise, you have this beautiful high vibe space and you still have, maybe your energy isn't in an exact alignment. And then that just is really hard for the space to kind of hold that high energy, right? So you need to have a cleansing for both the people and the space to be in high vibration. And so, what am I actually clearing? What is an entity? So, entities are beings of negative energy. There are different categories of entities. There are some that embody destructive energy, others that are a bit more deceptive and subtle. And entities can affect our emotions, our health, our connection to source, or the energy of spaces. And the reason why removal of these negative energies is important is because they act as a filter for how you experience the world. Clearing work is not like a catch-all solution, but it is an important part of most healing sessions. It's not something that's just done once. Just like we don't clean our cars and homes once a year, we need kind of routine clearing personally. Our homes can normally go about 6 months to a year for deep clearings and restoring of energy. I say normally is if you have like a lot of guests in your home, or if there are major changes in the space, like the birth of a child, or if perhaps you're becoming an empty nester, times of transition, more frequent check-ins might be helpful. All right, so I wanted to switch topics to discuss a little bit about selecting a healer and a session to book, right? So for choosing a healer, definitely check out my podcast episode, Legit or Full of It, where I dive into the different types of energy healers versus intuitive coaches versus shamans. But the main takeaway really to keep in mind is to be choosy. If they have a free getting to know them call, definitely take advantage of that to get a sense of who they are and if they seem trustworthy, humble, sincere, and wanting to help others. Their values need to align with yours, so check out their website, social media reviews, etc., right? Be really upfront on your goals and make sure that they can help you with them. In a free consultation call, you should also get to narrow down what type of session you need with them. Many times healers can also combine session types or customize to what you need. So don't be bound by kind of just what they have on their website. My tactic is that if I'm looking for a healer and I'm unsure after a free consultation, I'll just book their lowest cost session to see if they deliver what they promise, if they actually over deliver or not, and if I feel like the cost versus value makes sense for me. Healing work is an investment in both time and money, and you want to make sure that you're getting tangible results and returns on the cost. For my BFFs only tip, the question that I love getting from people are, should I be a healer? Should everyone be healers, right? And I do believe every household should have someone trained in Reiki, and every family should have a Reiki master. So if you feel the calling to be a healer, absolutely pursue that. I don't think you have to be a healer to be a spiritual person. And many healers need those that can help them in supportive roles as well, right? So like I still need an accountant. I need a massage therapist. There's so many different people that it takes really a whole village, to help support me and my goals. And that's a beautiful way to kind of add spirituality into your business. Or if you're in a corporate role, really adding in spirituality in the way you add your values, right? So I'd focus first on bringing in more of what a healer or the healer version of yourself represents to you. I would get really clear on that because I don't want you to feel like you need that label of a healer to embody the person you want to be. I've met so many enlightened and heart-centered people that are not healers, right? And they work in a variety of roles, from hairstylists to baristas to vice presidents at large financial companies. The way you earn your income does not define how spiritual you are. Now, if you already feel like you've embodied your values and still feel a calling to be a healer, or you just want to support your family and friends, I recommend taking Reiki 1 and 2 as the perfect next step. Reiki is a beautiful energy, has a variety of practical uses, and is supportive and lovely. There are a few types of Reiki, so I would see what style calls to you and just do some research. Reiki is not something that I've offered as a training yet, but please reach out to me if this is of interest to you, as the call to teach has been getting louder and more assertive over the past few months. All right, I know we covered quite a bit in this Q&A style session. I'll likely do another version of this on astrology and perhaps even human design in the future. Let me know in the comments if that's of interest to you. And if you want help thinking of your next steps of, being a healer or bringing more spiritual elements into your life or business, schedule that free 30-minute call with me and I'll help you create a plan. Thank you so much for watching Musings and Modalities with me, your pragmatic shaman bestie. Tune in the second and fourth Mondays of each month at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern for my fabulous episodes. I have a newer offering for those of you that want to work with me but aren't sure where to start. This is called Unsure What to Book, where you'll get a full 90 minutes with me to discuss pretty much anything. You can book this session, home clearings, astrology readings at musingsandmodalities.com. Thank you for listening. You've been listening to Musings and Modalities with me, Tristen, your pragmatic shaman bestie. For more powerful healing tools, join me every second and fourth Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. I cover a variety of topics to meet you wherever you are at on your spiritual journey. Learn techniques to work with pendulums, past life healing, astrology, and more. Please share the show and subscribe for more guidance from your pragmatic shaman bestie at musingsandmodalities.com.